So, with the infection, it's just the infection. Now, mind you, while I was in the hospital for my 8-day stint, I sat there and questioned every doctor. Literally every doctor. Every doctor that saw me. And I'm like, so, why were my ovaries left? And they're like, well, they looked fine. They looked fine. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, what? I come to find out that during my pathology report, ready for this one, they definitely found endometriosis on them. And there was definitely multiple large cysts that had to be excised and removed, and excised is a fancy word for removed, by the way. So yeah, I'm like, okay. So then I finally was like, all right, I need to know why that ovary wasn't removed. So they bring in another doctor whose specialty is such, and this doctor tells me, it's a surgeon again, another surgeon, top tier surgeon, we'll say, and they explain to me, hey, well, we're not going to remove them for 10 years until you're 45, and I'm like, what, why? And they're like, well, they looked fine, and I'm refusing to do this because it looked fine. And I'm like, excuse me, I have a right as a patient to tell you, what's going on with my body, and I live with this thing. You do not. I signed all the paperwork for things to happen, and then it happened. So, here we are. Here we are. So, anyway, so that turned into a fit, and we'll just say the dining services of that place was kind of appalled of what was happening and how I was being talked to and yelled at and screamed at. Good times. So yeah, I was trying to bamboozle out of that place and hit the dusty trails as fast as I could, because after that I was done. Mental health wise, I tanked. I remember for 3 to 4 days before I was actually released, I was sitting there crying, and I cried myself to sleep every single night, and kind of hid it from the nurses, because what are you supposed to do? You're getting poked and prodded and medicated like no other. You are literally a numeric at that point, because you're just turn and burn, man. Turn and burn. Again, not their fault. It's how that is. It's how that is. So, I end up going, again, for more CT scans, more testing, and all that fun stuff after I'm out of that place. After I hit the dusty trails, giddy up. And then I continue on my appointments for months and months and months. My FMLA was, kicked at that point, so I had a specific return date. And yeah, that was blown all to heck. And then because of the infection and that second surgery, because yeah, fun times. Go big or go home, Whitney. Go big or go home. And then so I had to extend my FMLA, not intentionally, because who wants to extend that intentionally? No one. The answer is no one. And so then I finally get a hold of another doctor, and this doctor, let me tell you, bless this man's heart. Bless his heart. Sits there and goes, something's not right. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It still hurts right there. You press down, I'm screaming, about ready to jump off the table. It's not fun. I don't enjoy that kind of stuff. No ma'am. So, doctor orders an MRI. Go for the MRI, because, let's test me some more, because I'm a lab rat. It's fun times. Yeah. MRI results come back, and sure enough, guess what it is? Oh, guess what it is? It is a gynecological issue now. Ta-da! Just like I called it. So, with that, the reason why I totally freaked out about the ovary is I did not feel good. I knew something was wrong. And always listen to your body. For real, always listen to your body, because it does not lie to you. It does not. And so I get passed back to the first surgeon again, and it said, hey, this has to happen, ovary's gotta come out, get out of there. And so I go for that follow-up appointment, and guess what I'm told? I am told no. I'm told a big fat nope. 0 results will not do it. Nah. That is out of my realm of practice. And I am like, alright, cool, like, who can do it? And she goes, well, not the doctor who you saw who gave you that second opinion while you were in the hospital, because she already declined to do it. And I'm like, cool, so failure to treat me. Thank you. Delightful. Delicious. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, well, it's gotta come out. Like, it's in the paperwork, black and white, like, you cannot miss it. Like, red flag central, like, you gotta do it. Somebody's gotta do it. So, I get referred out to, by far, the most wonderful surgeon I have dealt with in the entirety of this thing. Like, bedside manner on this individual was, like, stellar. Like, if I could write a 6-star review and, like, you know, check all the boxes, like, outstanding, like, best yet, like, great, like, send me to him, I would. So I go to this individual, and they look at my chart. They actually were smart, and they looked at my chart, like, you know, a couple weeks prior to my appointment. I'm like, well, darn, like, look at you being proactive, and look at you being, like, stellar. And let me tell you, at first it heightened me, because I'm like, why is someone in my chart? Like, what are they doing? What are they looking at? Come to find out, they were just being proactive. Like, and at this point, like, there's some serious PTSD of doctors going on, because there's zero trust. Like, zero trust. Like, nope. After everything I had gone through, I'm like, nope. Don't trust you. Like, you're, like, next that just will not leave me alone. Like, that whole thing. Like, ugh. So it left a bad taste in my mouth. And met this person, like, literally an angel. Literally, like, made me feel like a human being. Was like, I hear you, let's do this. Like, I'm listening to you, like, I hear you, like, let's get this done. And I'm like, thank you? And I'm like, so let me tell you, I have, like, my mask on, and I'm like, because it's, you know, healthcare and all that stuff. So I'm like, about ready to cry, because I'm, like, floored. And again, I have an advocate with me, because, again, I'm scared, like, absolutely, like, traumatized from this whole experience. Let me tell you, my kids are also, like, I'm not gonna get them full into this, but, man, they've been through it. After watching your parent, like, almost die, yeah, that's pretty heavy stuff, man. And they were kind of angry. They're still kind of angry, so we're gonna just, you know, simmer down on that. But, so then I get the surgery scheduled to get the ovary removed, and, like, finally, like, hey, we already served your eviction notice, like, you need to get out. Like, that eviction notice was, you know, predetermined way back in May, and, you know, somebody was feeling extra kind that time, and, Anywho, and I understand, like, I do understand, like, what the whole thing of the, like, conservation of ovaries was supposed to be about, but when you have what I was diagnosed with, that should have been out of the question. It should have been like, no, ma'am, like, you cannot have any of this. You are a ticking time bomb. Like, it's gotta go. Like, let's get this out of here. And it was not. So, back to what I was saying. So, going for my new effective care, because, you know, after all that craziness with that, like, first place, I was like, no. Like, that's like going back to an abusive relationship, and you're like, and I'm not, like, shaming anyone, I really am not, but it's like, yes, I'm asking for more, because, you know, like, I didn't learn my lesson the first time, so, like, let's go right back to the, like, the whole, like, awfulness. So, made a wise decision and established care in a new place for my, like, you know, primary care stuff. And they go, why was this not done the first time? And I'm like, thank you. Like, I don't know, but now I'm really regretting the fact that I made a bad decision. But, you know, life teaches you some lessons pretty dramatically in a pretty hard way. So we call those teachable moments. Those are teachable moments. And yeah, so that was a very teachable moment for me. Shame on me, but hey, good job on getting your lesson learned there, lady. So yeah, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're good with this plan. Like, ovaries gotta come out, like, possible appendectomy, like, everything, like, that's just like, yeah, has to go out. And I'm like, alright, cool. Like, I'm glad you guys are on board with this too, because I need that. Like, need everyone in my corner now, because I literally had to, like, fight to live, and, like, almost died, and that was great. Like, let me tell you, not fun at all. So I go in, and I get this surgery, and guess what? Guess what? I was right. And I didn't want to be right, but guess who was right? Me. We come to find out that my appendix had to go because, it wasn't doing much. And with what I had, which was endometriosis, it was going to likely attack things because, you can't really get rid of all of it and it can come back. There's a 4% chance that it might come back now. But I was stage 4, which is like high. It's way high. It's higher than it should have been let go over the last couple months. And it was let to just sit there and fester in me. And yeah, so got that taken care of. But let me tell you, again, you have to fight. If you have some kind of issue like I ran into, like, you literally have to fight. You can't just let people tell you what to do because it's in their best interest. Sometimes what is in their best interest is not in your best interest. Because, honestly, if that had gone on and I had gone 10 more years, I would not be here. And when that actually hits stage 4, we are in a dangerous territory where it starts to become something more than just what endo is and just what PCOS was. And we're not going to get into that because that's scary stuff. But let me tell you, it was interesting to get to see the pictures and to get to see, like, what actually was going on in there and what was negligently overlooked. But I'm not going to say I have hard feelings because, honestly, you know what? At this rate, I'm just going to make sure that people know to advocate for themselves much better and to go to the proper doctors. If you have issues with PCOS and endometriosis, please, for the love of goodness, and, like, I mean this, please just go see a specialist. Go see someone who knows what they are doing. I hate to say this, I'm not, like, shamming, but a gynecologist does not know much about what is happening with all that. They can make a, like, estimated best guess, but you need to go to a specialist, like, a specialist above them. Like, you need to go to top tier. Like, that is out of the question. You'll thank me. But, again, so why do people not get this treated? Well, fun story. I was looking at how much my insurance was charged for all of this. And, yeah, it was for the first 2 surgeries. First 2. It was a well-rounded, like, $79,000. And guess who had a chunk of that responsibility? This girl. Who also had a chunk of responsibility on the second surgery, even though that was, like, it should have not happened. This girl. So then, we run into surgery number 3. Guess what that one might cost me if the insurance doesn't pick it up? $30,000. Still responsible for a hefty down payment on that type of thing, or I guess, like, co-payment, whatever you want to call it. It's a pretty substantial amount. So, through all this, what did I learn? Advocate for yourself. Speak up. If you don't agree with something, you don't have to agree with something, but you have to have good reason on why you don't agree with it. And you also need to ask the right questions, because that is massively important. If you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to get answers. You're just going to get run around. But the other thing, too, is those with, like, high knowledge don't always see people as people. Sometimes you're just seen as a paycheck, sadly. And sometimes the best interest of others is not best kept. And that is kind of the sad fate of my story, is certain things were not looked into as my best interest. There was additional like things that happened and charges and this and that and like so on and so forth. It's heavy stuff. I know my mental health took a tank on it, and that was rough. Trying to dig myself out of that, it was bad. Like, I also had other life issues going on. I had a family member pass away during all of this, very close family member. And so yeah, and then I had a pet pass away during this all as well. So it's definitely been a run for my money. Can I say it's made me bitter? No, but it's definitely made me very proactive and very aware of things you need to keep an eye out on, and just know that if you can refer someone to someone like really good, and like you hear horror stories left and right, which is what I had actually heard after the fact of things, and it was like, ooh, whoops. Keep your ears out and aware, like make sure you're listening, because it's better to stay alive than to be sunk under. Another fun thing I learned too, apparently infections are very common, especially when it comes to medical things and practices and issues, and I was like, that needs to be looked into more, because that should not be happening. I had a very valuable resource tell me that, and I was like, well, that definitely is unfortunate, and it definitely needs to get looked into, because that should not be happening. And if it is happening, then why is it happening? Other than that, like, I really hope this helped enlighten people, and I really hope this story kind of better informed others of what is possible, and just to be very careful and be very aware and advocate like no other for yourself. And even when you think moments are really tough, to find the courage to realize you are worth it and you are enough.